So my hope is that if you did that last exercise and watched that last video, you're starting to dig into and uncover this purpose for yourself and what your life is about. It's a great feeling. You might feel some fire in your veins, some intimidation mixed with some excitement in your heart. Perhaps life suddenly looks like something worth living again. And that's an amazing feeling. Do not lose that. In this video, I'm going to talk about something which doesn't sound that exciting, but I promise you it is. I want to talk to you about your responsibilities as a man. And I know that when I start talking about responsibilities, for many of us, we get this feeling of heaviness. Maybe we think back to being 8 years old and our responsibilities to do our chores and make the bed. And that wasn't very exciting. But the amazing thing is that as men, when we spend time really getting clear on what our responsibilities are and are not in life, it actually liberates us. It frees us from doing all the shit that we do every day that isn't a part of our responsibilities. And then when we focus on what our responsibilities truly are, we become many times more effective. You know, in school, I was the kind of kid, the kind of student who'd put his hand up a lot. I'd volunteer for things. And that was great. I was a kid. I was learning. I was getting more confident. But when I went into a corporate career, I found myself doing the same thing. You know, people would say, who can come in early tomorrow morning and run a PowerPoint training on this point? And I'd volunteer. And it was almost automatic. And ultimately, it didn't really serve me. It just gave me more work to do. It meant when I went home that night, I couldn't spend time with my wife or my son. I would instead be creating a PowerPoint. And when I started to live more in my power and I got more focused on my purpose and I started to, I immediately, when I did that, got out of corporate because it didn't meet my goals anymore. It didn't sit with my purpose. But this is what happened. I changed to a place where if I was asked to volunteer for something that was not a part of my responsibilities, in most cases, I would say no. I'm not interested. Thank you very much. Let me suggest somebody else who might be interesting to do that for you. And all it did was liberate my power and liberate my time to do more. So perhaps that resonates with you. Perhaps there's somewhere in your life right now where you're volunteering for things or you're just automatically on autopilot doing things. And if you just stop doing them, you could focus more on what's really important and what really creates an incredible impact in your life. I want you to come with me back in time, a few hundred, maybe even a few thousand years. Back then, as men, our responsibilities were simple and clear. In fact, as we approached 12, 13 years old in most cultures, we would be taken aside and trained and given experience and strategies that would really set us up to become powerful, effective men. And of course, as you know, that doesn't really happen much anymore. The military's close, but still the military leaves out some very important components. So back then, living in the tribe, in most cases, our responsibilities were very simple. My job as a husband and father would have been to protect my family, provide shelter and food and warmth and water for my family, and that was the main thing. If I chose to sign up for more and expand my circle of responsibility, perhaps I also took on a level of providership for my community, my village. Perhaps I took on a level of protecting my village, my community, my state, my city, as I moved into warriorship, not just manhood. And today, things get so muddy and confused, don't they? But we use this tool to go back in time and say, okay, 1,000 years ago, what would my responsibilities be? And then we can drag that forward to the world today and use that to clear away all the bullshit and just make it clean and clear. So one of the things that I would like for you is to start to dig into really, truly, when you come down to the bare bones of it, what are your responsibilities as a husband or a partner or a father or a son or somebody who runs a business with employees or whatever it is you do? I'd like you to spend a little bit of time digging into what are your core responsibilities. Don't add things that aren't essential. Really use essentialism. Cut this down to the bare bones. And you might be surprised, really, at the end of the day, how short the list becomes. And when you do this exercise, you might see all the other stuff you do is becoming a little less important and a little bit more of a waste of time. There's this question of how wide you want your circle to be. In other words, how many people do you want to exist within the realm of your responsibility? And there's a story around this which I heard years ago from a man who lived among the Chiricahua Apache here in Arizona. You see, there was a hunter, a warrior, out hunting. He had a good kill, successful day. He came back to the village, and as soon as he entered the village, he saw a woman. She was older. Her husband had passed away the year before. She had not much to eat. So of course he stops, pulls out his knife, and he carves off a good proportion of his kill, gives it to her so she's taken care of. He keeps walking. And then he sees another man with 8 kids and a wife who's not had the same level of success hunting. So the warrior stops. He cuts away more of the kill and gives it away. And he keeps moving through the village, seeing people in need and giving away what he's hunted. And I'm sure you can guess what happens next. He gets back to his hut in the village and realizes his stomach is empty and he has nothing to eat. He's given it all away. He's put other people before himself, and he's lived his responsibility to take care of those around him. So what does he do? Does he get frustrated, pissy? Does he throw a tantrum? Of course not. He puts a smile on his face. He puts satisfaction in his heart. And he walks out the other side of the village to hunt the other side of the valley. And that, to me, is the definition of manhood. So what I want you to do is dig into this question of your responsibilities. What are they? Who do they apply to? And then start to look at all the other things you do and really question whether they're essential. Are you meeting your responsibilities as a man by doing them? Now, your responsibility might also include moving towards your major definite purpose. It may include taking care of your physical body and your health. It may include your faith, your connection with the universe or God or spirituality or your religion. It may include having some freaking fun. That's important. A lot of us get so wrapped up in business and meeting our responsibilities that we forget that we also have a responsibility to live and feel alive and have fun and be happy. So do not forget that. So I want to leave you with a question. On the next video, I want you to come back, and we're actually going to dig into something similar but not quite connected. I want to dig into your values. You see, again, many of us growing up, we never were taken aside and given time to really dig into what our values as men are. And of course, that leaves us in a position where, just like we're living other people's responsibilities, we find ourselves living with other people's values that maybe are not our own. That'll be the next video. But I want to leave this video with one question for you to consider, as well as doing that work. Where in your life are you doing things which are not your responsibility in a way that it takes away energy and time from the things that are your responsibility? And what are you going to do to shift the balance back to where it needs to be?